Tesla Model 3 versus Polestar 2, a comparison review of one of the most exciting electric vehicles at this moment. Do we take the red pill or the white, grey-ish pill? It's called magnesium, this color. This is a very interesting exterior, interior and the driving comparison. This will be a blast. Styling wise, we can see here the Polestar 2 with this upright front grille and this dot structure. And to me, the more prominent design definitely than the LED daytime running lights. So it has some kind of crossover look already in the front. The Tesla, more this EV style look definitely, and a flatter sedan look. So styling wise, I think the Polestar 2 wins it for me, at least from the front. What about you? Interesting in the side profile, the Polestar 2 looks a little bulkier because of this crossover style, crossover cladding right here, really cool look, sporty crossover look I would say. And you can see here this special design graphic right there. But lengthwise, the Tesla is longer, 10 centimeters or 4 inches longer, 4,70 meters here for the Tesla, or 185 inches, 4,60 meters or 181 inches for the Polestar 2. And you can see the Tesla Model 3, more the classic sedan styling from the side profile. It wouldn't have been necessary for an electric vehicle to have this classic sedan styling, but they just went for it for design purposes. And also interesting how the strong shoulder is being formed out right there. Really looking forward to your comments. Which one would you go for design-wise? And also super interesting to take a look at the rear in direct comparison. The Polestar 2 with a more modern look. Very interesting light signature here as well, and this more angular design, whereas the Tesla looks rather outdated design-wise in comparison to the Polestar 2. But what is not outdated at all is the range and the efficiency with the Tesla. Really interesting to tell you that already right now, because it's one of the crucial factors of this comparison review. So in our tests, when we keep it steady as for acceleration and so on, we can score a range of up to 600 kilometers or 400 miles with the Tesla Model 3, whereas the Polestar 2 rather goes in the direction of around 400 kilometers or 250 miles. And this is of course a big difference. The efficiency difference here, when we talk about energy consumption on 100 kilometers or 100 miles, at least 4 to 7 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, even more of course, more like in 6 to 12 kilowatt hours on 100 miles difference in favor of the Tesla Model 3. So the faster you drive also, the bigger the difference is, the more efficient is the Tesla Model 3. And that is on the paper definitely a great advantage already for the Tesla Model 3. But design-wise, I really have to say the Polestar 2 it would be for me. Special thing about Tesla, you get constant updates, both for software, but also for the hardware. So here recently the Model 3 Long Range received also battery upgrades, now at 77 kilowatt hours in this vehicle on the paper, but it could also be the net capacity. There are also already vehicles out there that says 82 kilowatt hours in the papers. Even in the Tesla community, discussion about at the moment, are these two different versions, or is it a difference between gross and net? The German authorities also do not know a lot of the times what they put in their papers. Charging 11 kilowatt AC, or at the V2 supercharger 150 kilowatt, or at the V3 supercharger then 250 kilowatt. So clearly the Tesla leads there together with the supercharging infrastructure. That's of course another advantage for Tesla, especially when you are in the US. And recharging of the Polestar 2, also 11 kilowatt AC and 150 kilowatt DC. So when you have the latest edition of the superchargers, then once again the Tesla prevails here. So once again on papers, as for efficiency, range and recharging, the Tesla definitely needs it. Oh, and the Polestar 2 also has this goodbye light signature. Yeah, there we go. Really spaceship alike, or kit alike maybe, Knight Rider. This in the welcoming part. That's nice. And turning indicators comparison here in the rear. Oh, ain't that cute. Well, I think it's too small for a turning indicator in the rear with the Tesla Model 3. Whereas with the Polestar 2, this is definitely visible. And in the front, it replaces the daytime running light with the Polestar 2. I think really fancy, whereas with the Tesla, there's a separate turning indicator in the lower area then. When we open the engine hood, we usually talk about acceleration figures with combustion engine cars. Well, let's do it also now today here. 4.7 seconds is the acceleration figure for the Polestar 2, 4.4 for the Tesla Model 3. we have both the all-wheel drive models for today. So Tesla Model 3 Long Range and the Polestar 2 with the dual motor. Now both are also available with one single motor. The Tesla Model 3 has been out there with the SR Plus model called now Standard Range Plus, rear-wheel drive only then. The Polestar 2 now also has the entry-level model, front-wheel drive only. But the price difference is not that huge here with the Polestar 2. With the Tesla you can save a lot of money with the base model. Polestar 2 just a little bit. But here now the trunk, tiny with the Polestar 2, just fitting for some charging cables, whereas the Tesla is actually a little bit better here. So you can put charging cables and something more. This, has a triangle here. So very well usable here with the Tesla Model 3, Polestar 2 just a little bit tinier. Key comparison, both, doesn't look too good. Here the normal key fob for the Polestar 2, but really cheap housing. And Tesla here with the Model 3 you have the key cards, but you can also still order the classic Tesla key from the accessory department. Then Tesla here with these integrated door handles, and door closing sound doesn't sound that sophisticated, but also frameless. Yeah, the Porsche Taycan sounds good, although frameless doors, but it's also triple the price. Then inside, all animal-free materials. That's of course cool with both vehicles today. Awesome, that's where we are in 2021. And soft touch, here's some microfiber use. Recent update with the facelift also, with these buttons here that are now illuminated to open the door, and manual opening the door here. And the first general look is super clean. It has a very unique atmosphere, matte wood, that is really nice. And you either have the black styling or you can go for an all white styling and totally buttonless, just this central infotainment screen. Really different with the Polestar 2. First of all, door closing sound. That sounds better, but also not super sophisticated. And then you can see this is more a classic car interior, not in a classic car as for old-timer vintage vehicle, but more of a traditional how we design car interiors. Of course, a little bit more modern, but definitely Tesla is more this futuristic interior, whereas here we know more things. But in some parts the build quality here is better, and we have also really cool solutions. For example, then here with the fabric styling at the dashboard, also some matte wood, and also these seats are once again animal free. A little bit different because that in the Tesla the seat is super slick, just a leatherette. Here it's a open cell fabric at the side, and the middle part is interesting. It's a mix. It's not open cell fabric as with the side, but also not super slick as in the Tesla. It's something in between, and I think it's a good solution because you can wipe it clean quite easily, but still it's already a little bit more breathable. And more this vertical screen here in the middle part. So really absolutely different interiors, but both super exciting. Seating position comparison, Polestar 2 here. I'm 1m86 or 6'1", frequent subscribers know. And here, to the sides close, but to the panoramic roof, there's a lot of headroom left. So both with fixed panoramic roofs, and steering wheel control are in and out like this, so smooth control. So nice position here for tall drivers. You more have the classic cockpit atmosphere with a big middle tunnel right here, so as you know it, and you feel like this is going in some way crossover direction from the seating position. And also when you put the seat here a little bit higher, I think it feels a little bit better to the vehicle. So definitely more comfort here, and you have the space to the top ceiling. When you put this seat here a little bit higher, you somehow feel better positioned in the vehicle and more fits to the whole philosophy of the vehicle. I feel the seating comfort is a little bit better here with this seat forms. Cool feature with the Tesla Model 3, I have here this easy entry position, and I can switch it in the screen, or when the doors close automatically when I put in the gear, then I have my position with the steering wheel more towards me and the seat also a little bit closer. And here with the Tesla Model 3, the seat is not that optimized on taller people. They are a little bit short, and that's why I can only find comfort here when I move the back part of the seat a little bit more to the back, which is not that ideal for best position in the seat, and also for building up pressure for the brake pedal. Well, the brake pedal you don't use that often here in Tesla Model 3 though. So overall the seats don't feel that sophisticated. Definitely more comfort in the Polestar 2, but still also somewhat fine because they are also really soft, and again a high-grade leatherette being used here. This is what I've always been talking about. There should not be animal materials in cars in modern times, because you can have the very same luxury experience even then with recycled materials. Well, and overall, super different position. In a way, you feel you're a little bit lower in the, from the whole concept, because you don't have this crossover concept here, but definitely a more roomish feeling when sitting inside here. And headroom, once again, fixed panoramic roofs, a lot of space here, also in Tesla Model 3, and to the side, of course, a little bit closer. But you can drive both vehicles, also when you're quite tall, as for the headroom. Once again, super clean atmosphere here in the Tesla Model 3, and that's somehow also calming while driving. However, the speed just appears here. I think a head-up display would be really useful then for a Tesla Model 3, because looking at the speed right here is definitely not ideal. Software-wise, and also the CPU and so on, superb with the Tesla, and they say that Tesla has a lead of 5 years in comparison to the other manufacturers as for hardware-software combination as for that. See here, super fast as for the satellite view, and you can have a lot of different controls here in the infotainment screen. You should not control it while driving, but the most stuff, you set it once and then it's actually fine. For example, if the steering mode is like this, leave it at standard. If you want a little bit more stiffer feedback and so on, and also if you want the stopping mode to stand still, or if you want to roll when releasing the brakes and so on. Here, usually set the acceleration to chill. That's totally fine, totally enough. Here in the long range model, it's always so powerful that standard is sometimes like almost too fast. Climate control, however, only here in the lower part like this. That's not too easy to control. However, you can do more and more with the voice control. Set temperature to 20 degrees. And that works very well, and you can do a lot more things with the temperature, with the with the voice control, like navigate to Berlin. Oh my god! Here, and that works very well. Super fast reactions. Also, that's how it's supposed to be. Then we have inductive charging pads, 2 now since the recent facelift, with nice microfiber. And we can slide this one open, a lot of space right here. Cup holders, however, not adaptive, that's a miss. And then well attached, the build quality has been improved bit by bit with the Model 3, and even more space underneath. Here's also a 12-volt power supply, by the way. Let's take a look at the camera, because this is really fancy. Great resolution, and also recent update that you also now have the camera view from the side mirrors. So this is then looking backwards. Oh, interesting that the color temperature here is a little bit different. Warmer temperature here and colder up there. Now the interior overview of the Polestar 2. More design elements, not that calm in design, but still a great Scandinavian style design. So really like that. More the vertical fit than here for the screen. And here we have both the infotainment screen and also the digital instruments. And I really have it, it's better to also have digital instruments, or at least a head-up display. And it also switches around a little bit here on the left side. When I put the gear in, you can either have a map view like this. So it's good to have this GPS view then in the middle part. Or you can also switch it around and have a more just bigger speed like it is. So you're also flexible. Overall, I think well done as for that. In the middle part then, however, you have this overview. You can directly switch to the vehicle functions. That's an easy control as well. One pedal driving, standard, that's recommended definitely. Here creeping on or off, it's also when you release the brakes. Steering feel I would set to firm, because otherwise it feels too loose actually. And also assistance systems easy to put in and out. The camera here is with this fake drone view from above, and then you can switch to the rear view camera. Here I feel the Tesla has better resolution as for the camera. However, this one here has also a usable front camera. How we go to that one again, 360, and then here we go, front camera. We know that Tesla does have a front camera from the dash cam, but somehow it doesn't appear then in this other view. So, and then once again here, because this is very interesting, the phone, both vehicles with Bluetooth focus. However, the Polestar 2 is also supposed to get Apple CarPlay, but the thing is, this is a native Android integration, and that means you have Google Maps here, and that's also super fast. So both of these cars are leading as for the infotainment systems. And I think the Polestar 2, because it has the Google Maps, even better, because you know it knows more traffic information. It's just more clever during the navigation. So I would, you know, always have that. And of course you can use, hey, drive me to Berlin. Oh, sorry. Now everyone is driving to Berlin, probably at home. Sorry about that. So I will not say, hey, famous search engine anymore live here on stage, because it all obviously activates all the smartphones. Yeah, sorry for that. And of course you can use other more sophisticated commands here with the Google Assistant. Let's try it with the temperature. And I don't say it. Change temperature to 21 degrees.
Got it. Changing the temperature to 21 degrees.
Super fast how the commands are being transported. In the middle console here, inductive charging pad for your phone. Then here the chargers as well. Then you still have a manual volume knob. That's cool, also very sophisticated, but no manual climate knobs either. However, here in the lower part of the screen, you can control it a little bit better than with a Tesla. So that's actually to put temperature higher or lower, an okay touchscreen solution. Once again, also the voice control is possible, of course. Then the shifting lever, also quite cool, with the Polestar logo. And the cup holders are adaptive here. That's definitely better, so the beverage don't fly around all over the place. You can put this one forward or backward. Then another cup holder, and you can also put this one absolutely backward. Not sure why they did in that way. Yeah, I mean that you can have this second cup holder then a little better, but this is not dampened, so here, yeah, that's not that kind of a premium solution, but overall I think the interior here feels a little bit more premium. Headless Thomas. Well, that's one thing I can only fit in here because I'm exactly next to the panoramic roof. I wonder what that does for crash safety. I don't know. That does work then headroom wise, but I feel a little bit cramped in here still. And since I can only find a comfortable seat position in the front when the back is a little bit more backwards, it gets closed with the knees in here. Not too good for the rear seating position here, I have to say. The only cool thing is really no middle tunnel at all. That's how it's supposed to be for the EVs, and that's why sitting in the middle part is actually easy. That's actually, you know, giving you a lot of, you know, space and roomish feeling. So overall, yeah, well usable, no doubt about that, but also nothing special in the rear. Here, by the way, especially at these transitions, for example, you can see that the build quality is still lacking a little bit, like this. You know, here the panel gaps. Yeah, you can say it's maybe not the most important. At least you can work on this one. I always say that the concept is really great, and the whole, you know, from building up from the base as the EV model. This is great with Tesla. On the details you can still work on later, and they have already improved a lot of things. I hope this is still to come. And in the rear of the Polestar 2, a more upright seating position, definitely, and again, more comfortable. So the cushions basically, they're a little bit more plush in the Tesla Model 3, but the overall ergonomics are definitely better here in the Polestar 2. Also from legroom, a little bit better. However, here the reason is actually not because the wheelbase is so different. It's more like that this seat is more upright because I can drive that way, whereas the Tesla I can only drive in a comfortable way when the seat is a little bit more back. That's also reducing the legroom in the Tesla Model 3. Headroom wise, yeah, I mean the Tesla has this integration with the panoramic roof that I can directly sit underneath it. Here then it's the beginning of the fabric, so it's also quite close here, but it still works. But the overall seating experience then, also like long term and so on, would be better than here in the Polestar 2. Once again, also really nice processed here, build quality, and we also have this armrest right here with adaptive cup holders. The only thing here, the cover here for the ski hatch, that's a little bit, you know, hit and miss maybe. I don't know what that's supposed to be. By the way, cool also in the performance pack, which is an option. Then you also have these yellow seat belts, also a quite fancy option. And another fancy thing is, when you look from here, from the back to the front, you have this mirrored Polestar logo. It's an illumination in the panoramic roof. Ooh, and that's again where the Model 3 has an advantage. A middle tunnel in an electric vehicle, absolutely unnecessary. Of course, they also use it for stability reasons and for battery storage and so on. Yeah, I mean, this chassis feels more stable or stiffer indeed, but of course for the rear seating here, for the usability, yeah, that's not too good. Super interesting also the trunk comparison. Here, first of all, how they open. And here with the Tesla, more classic sedan style, not quite, but you see here more this, you know, smaller hole to put things in. And here you have to go very low to open this hatch, and this is then more this fastback styling, so easier to load things in and out. Well, in a low basement garage it might be a problem, but definitely when you remove this one here also, you can get things in and out way easier, and also maybe put a bicycle in and so on. This is also interesting, this trunk split here, that you can secure a backpack or whatever right there. And then let's look underneath. Here we go, some more space right there, and 440 liters. Whereas with the Tesla Model 3 we have 540 liters. So it's more in the capacity. And also right here, wow, this huge box underneath, and lengthwise, this is really interesting. Here the Tesla Model 3, a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches. So that's, you know, yeah, like this longer than the Polestar 2, and the width here a little bit less than 40 inches or a meter. And then once again, if we move to the Polestar 2, I can show that visual confirmation here. That's exactly 1 meter or 40 inches, but the width here is a little bit better. Also, yeah, exactly 1 meter or 40 inches. So width-wise, a little bit better here than with the Tesla Model 3, but the Tesla Model 3 longer, and of course there's huge storage underneath. But although the liter figure is better for the Tesla and the length a little bit longer, I think the crucial thing is really how to get things in and out, and the possibility to store more bulky things in. And that's why the Polestar 2 is to me the trunk comparison winner, although it has less of capacity. Welcome to Thomas's comparison driving lounge, and for the acceleration test we go to the standard acceleration. Usually I leave it in the relaxed acceleration mode so that the car is not so fast, because it's so powerful, this Tesla Model 3. We're starting here with the Tesla. And since it's my Matrix reference day, I would say, oh, there's an agent behind us. We gotta flee. So watch the speed. This is kilometers an hour, classic German motorway style, and 40 kilometers an hour. Let's go. And that's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Woo! Wow, I mean, yeah, in the later stages that was a little bit, you know, lacking of performance then, but like the start was super performant, really cool. And you hear now really loud wind noise here at higher speeds. However, good test now here for chassis and steering. Ooh, doesn't feel too natural. The steering is too hectic. I mean, it's super direct, but maybe even too direct in a way. It feels arcade-alike, so not that natural, more like computer game. So yeah, here now 130 kilometers an hour, like 80 miles an hour. This is more motorway speed that is better. As for the wind noises, now recuperation, lifting foot of throttle, strong recuperation, that's always cool. You can also see the energy spike from the acceleration, always nice to look at. And well, I hardly ever use the brakes in this vehicle. That's why also the brake pads, I mean, there's no problem of replacing them. It's more like that they are not being used, what is rather the problem than here in the Tesla. And of course, most of the time for the other electric vehicles as well. Well, and here at 80 kilometers an hour, or also when we are at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, that's more a motorway speed where I can enjoy it, where the wind noise is not that high. So wind noise, not the best. You know, there are some third-party retrofit kits for noise insulation, which some Tesla Model 3 customers install themselves. That might be a thing for you if you are a Tesla Model 3 owner. Looking at the screen here also, yeah, I mean, there's not much more ambient lighting here. a little bit with the buttons and so on, but that's basically it. Well, I mean, it's overall a good standard vehicle, so to speak, and it also works on the motorway, no doubt about that. Now with this extreme acceleration, consumption went up again, but the crucial thing here about the Tesla Model 3 is so far, to me, the most efficient EV I've driven. So the energy consumption figures are something like that true. So it's the only vehicle I want to like, was it really so low? Could that be? And that's what is also leading it here in comparison to the Polestar 2. This vehicle is more efficient both at lower speeds and especially also at higher speeds on the motorway. And you can always save a couple of kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers or 100 miles here with the Tesla Model 3 in comparison to the Polestar 2. And that ultimately, of course, also has an effect on the range. Together with a little bit bigger battery, definitely more range. So at least 1 kilometer, 60 miles more range, if not more, maybe more in a region of 100 miles more range, 150 kilometers more range here for the Model 3. So efficiency and range-wise, definitely Tesla Model 3 leads it. Motorway reaction-wise, here, higher speed. Performance-wise, yes, Tesla is better also. When we take the long range model now against the Polestar 2, the performance model of the Model 3, of course, even better. Of course, it will be very interesting when we hit the motorway now with the Polestar 2 and compare it. But before that, the agility driving part with the Tesla Model 3. But before we do that, one more acceleration when we're already at speed, here 80 kilometers an hour, and go that. Woo! Yeah, still so much happening, but I don't feel like I want to drive way faster with this vehicle because of the wind noises. And yeah, once again, it's very precise as for the steering, but it doesn't convey such a safe feeling because sometimes overreacting, definitely. Yeah. Maybe when you want to overtake on the motorway with unlimited speed, you don't do it with 90 kilometers an hour. Yeah. Happens. And goodbye. One more lane change here, higher speed. Yeah, definitely too overreacting. And suspension-wise, it's also not that forgiving. The suspension is rather stiff. Hooking up quite well to the road, yes. But when there are some bumps in the road, doesn't feel that comfortable. So I'm not that happy with the suspension, and also how the whole car feels chassis-wise. It feels like it would be flexing, so it doesn't deliver this unity, driver, steering, vehicle and the road. Doesn't deliver this, unified feeling overall. Once again, we're always rating it at a very high level, definitely pointing out the pros and the cons of the vehicle. So the Model 3, to me, really good vehicle when you don't rely on too high speeds and when you don't have, too much bumps in the road, definitely, and especially when you appreciate that high range and efficiency at an attractive price point. That's the best thing about the Model 3. And now, some more agile driving fun. And now, driving up the hill. Woo! Yeah, it's always so spontaneous acceleration. Yeah, in the corners, the steering wheel does a little bit better, definitely, in comparison to the high-speed motorway driving. So you can have a lot of fun with that. And there's also a racetrack part with the Model 3 Performance we did a couple of years ago. That was really impressive. You can also check out that review, of course. And here, yeah, definitely having a lot of fun. And what a great spontaneous acceleration out of the corners. And this is a rear-wheel biased vehicle because you can also get it just with the rear electric motor. Here, of course, you're always getting pulled from the front wheels as well. But it might be a thing to go for the standard range model just to get the rear motor. That will bring some more sportiness, not an acceleration, of course, overall, but in getting out of the corners. We had the same experience with the Porsche Taycan rear-wheel drive base model recently. And there's of course also a review of that on our channel. So having a lot of fun here now, especially because of that acceleration. And since we have a quite even road here, it also feels nice. And doing slalom yeah, definitely. At lower speeds, the steering characteristic is actually cool that it's so extremely direct and gaming alike. Just at the higher speeds, it's not that cool. Here now, hairpin corner, let's see how it performs right here. Wow. Yeah, I mean, electric vehicles are great performance vehicles because of that instant torque and also low center of gravity. So yes, you can already have a lot of fun with this vehicle here. Yeah, that here, you know, especially sporty driving at lower speeds, very well mastered. And now it's time to drive the Polestar 2 and race with this one through the matrix. So let's get to a speed of 40 kilometers an hour again. Let's, you know, safety first, let this car pass, and 40 kilometers an hour. Let's go. And that's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Yeah, also really great acceleration. What I wonder, we really have to check the time codes because I felt that the Tesla had more punch from the get-go, and then the Polestar 2 later on was maybe a little bit better. We have to check that in time code really. Here now at higher speeds, of course, you don't hear any engine noise or so. The wind noise are predominantly or prevailing, but I feel that the wind noise maybe a little bit less than with the Tesla. So that's my subjective feeling. Not sure how it comes on camera. Maybe also scroll back to the Tesla when we hit higher speeds. But here so far, good feeling. Lane change also, nice feeling. Recuperation, I feel, is not as strong as with Tesla, but definitely also strong, like you can do a one pedal driving feeling. Steering, I have set it to firm actually. Very rare case where I really set it to firm because you know, this is way better. When in the standard setting, it feels so loose. Yeah, that doesn't make so much good. And here then in the firm setting, the steering is, I would say, not that precise either. There actually, the Tesla Model 3 is better. The steering in Tesla Model 3 is not that natural, but in this artificial feeling, really precise. Here, even when you have the firm setting, the lower degree angle is somewhat dead, so not too happy with that. Overall, I have to say then the steering feeling better still with the Tesla Model 3. In both cases, quite artificial, but the Tesla Model 3 has the more precise steering. In the acceleration, what was interesting, Tesla Model 3 more rear wheel biased. This one here, more front wheel biased. So you feel more getting pulled from the front. And you know that the OnlyElectric motor version, which is quite new still for the Polestar 2, is also then front wheel drive only. So that you know, that also makes sense then in a way. But still, both feel really good in acceleration, both quite performant. One more lane change here. Still, I mean, it feels good and agile, no doubt about that. Also, once again, low center of gravity. These electric vehicles just have that advantage to have this super great handling because of the low center of gravity. That's making it so much sportier in the feeling than the non-EV versions, which would be comparable like a Volvo S60 in this case than here. Although the overall weight is way higher, it doesn't feel like that, you know. So also a lot of fun experience here. We have 20-inch wheels mounted here with the performance pack in the Polestar 2, which is then a little bit unfair in comparison. I wanted to get one without the performance pack. It doesn't change anything of the acceleration here with the Polestar. It just changes the bigger wheels and also the stiffer suspension. So the better comparison would have been without the performance pack. I also had this car, you know, on order, but then, you know, someone else crashed it before I could get it, and then we had to take one with the performance pack again. So sorry for that. But the thing is here, suspension-wise, yes, it's once again stiff because of the performance pack. So I also urge you not to pick the performance pack with the Polestar 2, have more comfort in suspension. But the difference in chassis-wise, suspension-wise, what you feel here is, with the Tesla Model 3, you feel like the chassis is flexing all the time underneath you, and you're more sitting on the vehicle, and the vehicle is working underneath you. here with the Polestar 2, I feel better chassis work. You feel integrated with the vehicle. You more feel one with the whole vehicle and the chassis and so on. So that's where the Polestar is leading to me. Now one more acceleration when we are already at speed. I've also put it a little bit bigger now. Let's go. Once again, well done, and yeah, good handling and controlled feeling. Once again here also high-speed cornering. As I feel more united with the vehicle, I also have the feeling I can drive this one faster than the Model 3 and still with feeling safe. So this is now in the driving part where the Polestar 2 is better to me. You feel safer at higher speeds in that vehicle, just chassis-wise and how you are connected with the car. Definitely, but I can already see that one other thing is speaking majorly against the Polestar 2. So this was of course now including speed tests and so on, but I already see in the energy consumption that the Tesla Model 3 is the way more efficient vehicle. This will be super crucial for your long-term costs for running the vehicle, and of course also for general efficiency and the range. So once again, when range is the issue and you really have even fun or want to have a more budget decision for more efficiency, then definitely we can already say that the Tesla Model 3 is your way to go. However, one more other thing here, the assistance systems, the autopilot in the Tesla Model 3, first of all, marketing-wise, I think it's even dangerous to call it that way. It should not be called autopilot because it is not one, and it's not that good as marketing suggests. I usually do not use the autopilot when driving Tesla Model S, Model X, Model 3 because it has so many false positives or false negatives, both. So sometimes there's a warning when there's nothing, then the lane is not being kept correctly and so on. So I'm sick of the autopilot in the Tesla. It makes so many mistakes. I think it's rather a useless feature. I really have to say it that way, that strictly. Here, the assistance system of the Polestar 2 is definitely better. Not on the top of the game as we know maybe from the German manufacturers. And once again, I'm not selling any German vehicles. I have no bias in there, no stakes in German car manufacturers whatsoever. It's just that their assistance systems are more elaborate. That's just fact. And here, the pilot assistant here in the Polestar 2, at least they call it assistant, not, they have pilot, but pilot assist, you get that? Pilot assist, autopilot, And here you can rely on that a little bit more. Of course, always also keep your hands at the steering wheel. And then the lane is being kept a little bit better, definitely. It's not the most natural lane keeping assist, so you do feel the movements that are not that smooth. But here at the moment the car is steering, you can see it also keeps the lane in a corner. Oh, by the way, the turning indicator has such a unique and sophisticated sound. Cool. And now riding up the hill, comparing it also once again to the Model 3. And what you also feel is the Model 3 sits lower, like normal classic sedan style. The Polestar 2 is not SUV, but it already has some kind of crossover feeling, so you feel you're sitting higher in that vehicle that also transports something of that driving feeling. So for cruising on the motorway and longer term, I would then favor the Polestar 2. However, now in this lower speed agility driving, that is very interesting. So at higher speeds, once again, the Tesla Model 3 doesn't feel so good because there are also the effects of the stiffer chassis here from the Polestar 2 I feel are more significant. However, then here at lower speeds agility driving, the lower positioning of the Model 3 plays a big role and makes it more fun to drive, I would say. The Polestar 2 is also a lot of fun to drive here and does it very well. but definitely the lower orientation of the Model 3 is, to me, together with the more precise steering, then a factor that at lower speeds, agility driving, the Tesla Model 3 feels better and is more fun. This is a very interesting finding. I wouldn't have expected that. So, wow, I mean, it's so interesting to compare these two cars because so many things are different. Yeah, getting out the corner, very nice, but there also I feel the rear wheel bias of the Model 3 does it a little bit better. Yeah, I would have expected the Polestar 2 to be way better than the Model 3 in this test here, but it's still good, definitely. But I really have to say that the Model 3 did it better than I would have expected in this case, considering also, that the chassis here basically feels better. Whew, this will be a close call. A lot of things speak for the Polestar 2, a lot of things speak for the Model 3, or maybe, I think we'll end up with the Polestar 2 having, something speaking for it, but more for Tesla Model 3. Let's conclude. And now to our conclusion for today, Tesla Model 3 versus Polestar 2. What an interesting test. This has been awesome indeed. And on the factual side, you really have to say everything speaks for the Tesla. Way more efficient, way higher in the range. So, 500 kilometers or like some 350 miles is really realistic. If you go very efficient, even 600 kilometers or 400 miles, whereas with the Polestar, higher energy consumption and rather towards this 400 kilometers or 250 miles, maximum then of 450 kilometers or some 270 miles. So that really speaks for Tesla. Also the whole technology concept and so on, more things you can do with the infotainment, with the software, the constant updates you get and so on and so on. This once again speaks for the Tesla, and also the bigger trunk. This is also better with the Tesla. However, the loading of the trunk is better with the Polestar 2 with this with this hatch that opens very well. And to me, this could be a crucial factor also because in the Polestar 2, I could get a mountain bike in with a demounted front wheel. In the Tesla Model 3, rather not, or it will be a lot of pain to put that in. Interior-wise, both with a very unique concept, really cool, definitely. The Polestar 2, to me, a little bit more sophisticated, I think, from the interior. And the Polestar 2, you feel like being in a true cockpit. The Tesla Model 3 is a more futuristic concept, more open feeling. Chassis-wise, while driving, the Tesla Model 3 is flexing too much, I think, whereas the Polestar 2 feels like it is an experienced chassis, and of course, it profits from this experience the Volvo Group has over the years. So, it's really a tough decision because on the factual side, everything speaks for Tesla. Also, pricing-wise, you can go with the standard range model with the Tesla, no problem, and save a lot of money. With the Polestar 2, there's now also the entry-level version, but you have to go for the more sophisticated dual motor one because of the bigger battery. So the Tesla is so efficient that you can also go with the smaller battery. The Polestar 2 is not that efficient. You have to go for the bigger battery. Trust me on this. And in the US, there's also 10,000 euros difference. Here the Polestar 2 then, as it stands here right now, about $60,000. The Tesla Long Range, Tesla Model 3 Long Range, about $50,000. Whereas in the European Union, the prices are pretty much equal. So definitely I think in US the Tesla Model 3 is the way to go for. In Europe we have to think about, because on the emotional side, design-wise, exterior, interior, and the feeling of which car do I want to have in my garage and to drive with, there I rather tend towards the Polestar 2. And that makes it really so tough. So if efficiency and range is the crucial factor for you, and pricing and price performance-wise, Tesla Model 3 is the clear winner for today. But to me, the emotional winner from the coolness factor and the want-to-have factor, there I think it's more about the Polestar 2. So at the end of the day, it's a decision between what's better on paper and what's better design-wise and from this fun-to-have-it factor. Really tough decision. So I would really know when I live in the US and I need long mileage, Tesla Model 3 I would go for. If I don't need that higher mileage and I more go to this emotional side and also have the big price difference as we have in the US, then I would rather lean towards the Polestar 2. So yeah, been really tricky today, What about you? Which one would you go for? Let's discuss it right now.